Okay, so this is the inner tractor housing that's been removed. You can see here the cork seal. We can see inside the tractor joint there. These holes are where the locating dowels fit when this fits back in, and the notch there is where one of the bolts comes down and stops this housing from rotating. It fits back in with this notch to the top, so when it goes back in the vehicle it fits back in like that. And you notice the bottom doesn't have a corresponding notch. Now it's worth marking the tractor joint in some way. This one has a small nick out of it, so I'm going to use that as my marking, but just note which way round the top matches up with the top of the inner housing, just to help you refit it so it goes back in the same way it came out. Okay, so what we're going to do now is see if we can strip this down and replace the seal inside. So at this point, care needs to be taken when you're splitting this joint here, because at this point in here there are shims for shimming out the seal, so be very careful when you're splitting here that you don't put a screwdriver or something down in there and damage the shims. So you can see there that splits easily. It's this one here, this next joint where the shims are. Is the Gator removed. Can't see any obvious tears or damage there. there's the ceiling ring. Not very nice in there. There's that ball joint. See if I can get this cleaned up a bit. So I'm just going to tap this with a brass drift. But just be very careful not to drift or damage this internal section. So you can just see in there now those shims. Okay, so you can see we've split that off. In here are several metal shims. So this is now apart as much as it needs to be. We'll give that a bit of an inspection and a bit of a clean up before we put it back together. And this is the oil seal that we'll be looking to replace. So we'll clean this up and then take this oil seal out. See, just starting to knock that oil seal out. So there you can see the oil seal removed. Okay, so we'll see if we can remove the old cork gasket. Now if I wasn't videoing this, I would just break this and remove it. But for the sake of this video, I thought we'd see if we can get it off in one piece, just to show you whether there is any movement in it or not. Okay, so that's the old seal removed. Doesn't look in terrible condition. There's the new one. You can see the difference in thickness there. So we'll pop that on. Cork gasket fitted. There's the seal out of the packet. So the seal goes in that way up, down into the top there. You can see the underside has the spring in it there. Just use a little bit of oil just to aid refitting. Sorry guys, but at this point my camera seems to have failed me when I was trying to capture a video of pressing in the seal. I've got these couple of shots to show you the setup I used. A bit of a homemade rigged press here, just with the jack under the vehicle. Hopefully that'll give you some ideas. So once you've got the seal pressed in to the housing, if you use the old seal as I'm doing here, to tap the new seal in, it'll prevent you damaging the new seal. Whatever you do, you don't want to hammer or generally force down the sides of the new seal directly with a punch or a press that's going to damage it. It will cause the outer metal rim to deform on the new seal, and that in turn will stop the rubber seal from sealing properly. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just using the old seal to tap the new one in. You can see here, you can then remove the old seal, and the new seal is nicely fitted and undamaged. So we're now ready to refit the seal in the housing here. We've already pressed it in. The easiest way to do this is to take the shims and refit them to the seal housing, and then put this on as one unit. It just aids alignment. So that's what we've done here. You can use some of the bolts just to make sure that everything stays in alignment with the shims as you refit it. And you should find you can just press this home enough to get the bolts started. And if you need to, you can then use those to draw the housing down onto the seal. Once you've got the joint back together, at this point, before you go any further, it's important just to test how tight it is and test the shimming. It should be stiff to move, but still be movable by hand, as you saw there. Once you're happy with that, you can continue the build out. If not, then you'll need to adjust the shimming and either add or remove shims. What you don't want is for it to be a loose fit, and for the seal not to be pressing firmly back against the ball joint there and making a good seal. Neither do you want it so tight that it doesn't want to move. So as you could see there, that was a good fit, and we've carried on with the rebuild, putting the sealing ring on for the Gator. So now we just need to refit the Gator. You can use a sealant. The manual does actually state when you're refitting the Gator, you can use a sealant for refitting. This is just to give it a little bit more water protection on the joints. I've personally not used a sealant here. I've just fitted it dry. I think for the use my vehicle is going to get, it's unlikely to need that extra level of sealant there, but I'll leave it to you if you want to add that on during your rebuild. The Jubilee clips can be a little bit fiddly to get fitted, especially the small one, which is sort of tucked inside there, so do take a bit of time. Make sure that the seal is good. So refitting the other larger Jubilee clips, very straightforwards. I hope you guys are finding these videos useful. Please do remember to subscribe to the channel for future videos. Really does make a big difference to see people actually subscribing. Once you've got the housing all back together, just give it a final check that the joint still moves as you'd expect, and that's that job complete, ready for refitting. So thanks guys, please do like and subscribe, and see you at the next video.